Yo guys, welcome to my League Starter video on my Blade Vortex Archmage character. In this video I'm going to be going over the process of how I get into lab and just giving some pointers on my character for starting out in the league. Stay tuned to check out my starter character. In this part of the video I'm just going to be going over some pros and cons of the build. And then I'll go over like how I upgrade my gear and how I get currency at the beginning of the league to get into lab as quick as I can to start actually making money to build my character. So I'll have a video playing in the background of like this guy's mapping capabilities, and I'll also have some boss killing near the end of my experiences learning the big boss fights. I'm not a big Uber Elder or Atziri. I don't have those fights down yet, so it'd be more of a practice thing, but this build is more than capable of doing it. So for the pros of this character, it is very good at mapping and does all content. And it's fairly cheap depending on what your definition of cheap is to get it going, and you can definitely sink some currency into it when you get farther on. But to get a good grasp on the build, you're probably going to have to spend like 5 to 7x, and then you can like do more min-maxing from there. The cons of the build is it can be pretty rough to level until you get Unleash. You can pick whatever skill you want to level with, it's not too bad, but I find with Blade Vortex and Unleash, it just makes it feel so much better. That, and I believe you can get Archmage in like Act 2, so you'll get both of those going, and then as long as you're getting equal life nodes to mana nodes, and you'll have a much smoother leveling experience, and stuff will start picking up then. Some of the changes to the build that I'm going to do, I'll link my build guide down in the description below as well with my most up-to-date path of building. There's going to be a few different things that I want to do. First, I want to level with using Agnostic because it's pretty good, and then with the alternate quality for Blade Vortex. Once I get that where it has damage leached as life, I'm going to remove Agnostic because I don't think it's needed. Because the problem with Agnostic with this build is your mom is like almost half and half, and with that and Agnostic sucking your mana down and Archmage sucking your mana down, you're going to have the potential of constantly being out of mana, and that's like half your life pool. Another thing I want to do is max out my Chaos Res in this one, because Chaos Degen like really sucked with this guy. So I think getting it up pretty good, because I want to use Divine Flesh with the Glorious Vanity Jewel in this one. So it's really good, providing that it doesn't get nerfed. And then lastly, instead of doing my totem setup, which uses 4 gems, I want to craft on trigger a socketed skill on your weapon when you use a skill. I'm going to put Wave of Conviction and Sigil of Power in there, the new ability coming out that gives you more lightning damage to attacks and makes your stuff cost more, which will cause Archmage to be a lot better. So when it comes to upgrading your character, like which uniques to get first, I use quite a bit in this build. I will go over what I believe that I did last league. So the first thing I'm going to do is get a Cloak of Defiance, and then I want to get a Jeweler's Touch and then get it into a 5-link, because that will be good enough to get me into lab. And then that will allow you to not have to use the Mind Over Matter node either, so you can respec that into something else. Then for the next unique, I believe I went for the Amulet or the Helmet first. Helmet will usually take a couple days to pop up. Same with the Amulet. So I would get one of these two first and then get the other one third. Then I go for, so the Amulet that I use, I guess I should say, is Atziri's Forble. I can never pronounce that for some reason. It's such a stupid thing. Because it gives you a ton of mana. Ton of mana regen. It's perfect for this build. And the helmet gives just lots of damage, lots of mana and life and stuff. Don't worry about the enchant for now. You can always worry about that later. But when you do get an enchant, this one's probably the best one. And then I go for Omioken. Hopefully I said that right. This is a huge boost to your defense. And yeah, it's pretty good. And it gives you damage because of mana, onslaught. You lose 7% mana per second, but you'll have enough mana regen by that time to negate that with clarity and just do a passive tree. And then I use these puppies at the end. I don't really worry about them too early because I believe they're league specific. And it's more of like a quality of life item for mapping and delving. So delving should be a lot better next week because you can target craft with that, and you won't have to fight with the harvest stuff. So that's kind of like the order that I go for my uniques, and then just get Cinder Swallow whenever you can. Get the stun one because you do get stunned every once in a while. When you're stunned, I believe you can't dodge or evade. So that's all your defense. With this and the node on the tree, you get like 90% resist to it. For weapons, I guess I can go over this real quick. Just get something with lightning damage to spells and some crit and a bunch of mana. Those are the three things. I prefer using a dagger because it gives you the global crit, so that's this one. And then there's this one that I have as well. Fire resist was nice. I was trying to craft something else on there, but the big fire resist thing came up, so yeah, that wasn't bad. I don't know if it's a prefix or a suffix for cast triggered spells when you cast a spell, but just make sure you have an open one of those for when you get that, and that will allow you to use your Wake of Destruction, I think is what it's called. And then belt, I just went with the Stygian. There's definitely better belts, but this did the trick for me. Just make sure on all your rare gear it's got lots of life and lots of mana and resist. That's literally all you need. Getting a little bit of dexterity would help too. It'll help with the gearing. Is it dex? Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's dex. Dex or strength. Either one will help with your gearing. And if you need like a little extra dex or whatever, there's probably dex nodes. Like this one, and I think there's one more somewhere. But I'll go over the tree in a second so I can go over that. But that's kind of like how I do with my gear to get into lab. I just run a seething or a bubbling life flask, and then just make sure you get bleed removal, and then an enduring mana flask of heat is probably my favorite, because it just makes you freeze immune for like the whole flask effect, so it's good for clicking on boxes and stuff, and since it doesn't get removed on full life, then you're good with that as well. Diamond flask you don't have to worry about till later, so you can put in another health flask for that because you don't get crit until later. Just make sure you have a curse removal somewhere, and then a quartz flask for lots of spell dodge and dodge, because with this and your boots and phase acro, you're almost dodge capped, so it's really nice. It's like having a max block spellcaster. So that's it for the gearing part. When it comes to the skill tree, this is kind of the way that I took it anyway. So this will probably be the way I'll take it again. So when I first start out, I get these resist nodes, because when you don't have any twink gear or anything, having like lots of resist at the beginning just makes leveling easier. I don't worry about the jewel socket for now. Then I'll grab these life nodes, and then I probably won't get agnostic right away until I have like a little bit of a mana pool. There's not really much point. And then grab these mana nodes, grab these that gives mana too. And then maybe you can get away with agnostic at that point. Just, you kind of have to feel it out. I've never leveled with it, so I'm not 100% sure when I'm going to get it. But you get lots of mana nodes early. I wouldn't worry about skill duration until Act 4 for when you get ready for Unleash. Make sure you have these by the time you get Unleashed, because it just makes it easier. Or right when you get Unleashed, start putting points in there, because you go up levels pretty quick at that point. So once you get all the way down there, just go up here. So take the mana out. Don't worry about jewel socket for now. And then you could probably skip these for now. Yeah, I would skip these for now. Go up and get Mind Over Matter. Get some more health. And then grab Arcane Will. Just grab everything up here, because by the time you get up there, you should be getting close to running a couple labs at that point. And then probably come back and grab this, and then run and grab this health. If you're at Merciless Lab by that point, you will want to get ready to come out here, so I would rush to get phase acro as well, because it'll make it a lot easier for leveling, because you're going to be kind of squishy until you get phase acro and acro. So once you do Merciless Lab, go this way, because you can come out of the Ranger tree now and get everything over here, except the cluster jewel stuff. You don't have to worry about that right now. That's more like endgame stuff. I don't get jewel sockets until I get the rest of the stuff. That's just my style. And then fill up everything out here. Now once you get your alternate quality blade Vortex where you don't, or where you have life leech and you don't need the agnostic thing, take these 3 points out and then go for the Heartseeker wheel, because that will boost your damage up a lot, and you should be able to keep your health up with the life leech. And that's pretty much how I go around the tree. If you don't want to use the crit aura right away, Supreme Ego will be good for just helping you keep your mana up when leveling. So you can probably temporarily get that until you're ready to run lab, I would say, and then probably get rid of it for maybe running another aura like Precision. I wouldn't run any more than Precision or Clarity, because the more mana you have, the more damage you do with Archmage. That's pretty much the way that I level with the character. And then once you get Atziri's Formidable, you can anoint this to it, which will make it real. It's a really good node. It gives you mana and a ton of damage, but you need a gold oil for it. So if there's no gold oils right away, it's no rush, but get it as soon as you can when you have the extra currency to blow on it. I usually get it after I sell a couple helmets at a lab, and then I start getting the money, as the gold oils I usually go for about an Exalt. And then I'm not sure what I'm doing for cluster jewels yet. It's probably going to be pretty much the same. I just went Magnifier for crit multi and area damage AoE. And then here I went for openness, because this node will give you like so much mana. Like, it's crazy. Like for open, like this whole mana wheel, I think I can just take this out and it respecs it. So right now I have 9,767 mana. So it goes up almost 1,000. So that's a big chunk of mana there. I would like to get a Voices thing, but they're going to be stupid expensive anyway. Because it would be nice to have 3 of these, but it's not going to happen. But that's kind of like how I do my build for leveling. And then for jewels, just look out for these. Just make sure that you, when you can, get a Watcher's Eye that has a mana recovery rate when afflicted by Clarity, because that will help your mana regen a lot, because you're going to need a lot because you spend a lot of mana. If you want like to get the God Jewel, you will want to get that with mana, or hits taken from mana before life there. And then for my Ascendancy, whoops, I go over here to Pathfinder first, and then I path out. So that's when you can start going this way. So your normal lab's kind of useless. You get a bunch of decks and stuff, but this will allow you just to, it's awesome, like penetration and flash stuff. And then over here, so for your Uber Lab, you're going to want to get Hierophant, because it gives lots of mana. Arcane Surge is a big part of your damage with this build. 8% damage taken to mana, and then increased spell damage when you have Arcane Surge. So it's pretty good. And you proc Arcane Surge with your gems. And that's about it for the skill tree part and the way that I path for it. Hopefully I wasn't too rambling on, but yeah. Now when it comes to running Uber Lab and like when I am ready to run that character, I usually wait till level 85. I don't know why I picked that number, but it seems to be like, you know, you can just getting into red maps at that point. Your gear's starting to be a little lackluster, and that's when I feel like I need to farm currency for my gear, so I'm thinking that's where a lot of it comes from. And usually my buddy is playing with me too, and he wants to like upgrade his character, so he always like leeches currency off me, which is fine as we share everything anyway. But for the way that I get into lab, I try to get a Cloak of Defiance and then get a Jeweler's Touch, get a 5-link, and then I won't use Conk Effect in it, but I'll use everything else. And that'll be enough damage for me to get into lab, make sure I have phase acro, so I don't get one shot too easily. But you should have decent amount of mana and life. I would say aim for like 3,500 life at that point, and get a nice chunk of mana, like 5,000 or 6,000. By that time, that should protect you from getting one shot just make sure to keep your Arcane Surge up with your Arcane Cloak. So just make sure you keep leveling that, because that'll give you a nice little defensive bonus thing. I think it gives me like, yeah, so 6,000 shield. So it's pretty good. And Arcane Surge, which is mana regen and damage. That's at like my level. Like,
Can I not have
if it's if you only have like 6,000 mana, they'll probably give you like a 4,000 shield, but it'll be enough to protect you from the one shot. And then just make sure you have your resist maxed, and a couple weapons you just need. Doesn't matter if they're a wand or a dagger or whatever, but I just get lots of mana, a little bit of damage, and that's about it. So a little bit of damage mean like flat lightning, or like, you know, 50, 60 spell damage. That'll do perfectly for running lab at the beginning, just to get into lab. That's the whole point of this, is just to get into lab real quick and then start farming enchants. The way that I make my currency to get that stuff is I will sometimes use the unidentified chaos recipe, because I suck at selling rings. So yeah, that's just the way I do it. So I do that to get my chest and the jeweler's touch. Usually it's about 50C you'll need for that, and that will give you your tankiness to be able to spec out of mind over matter and go into lab. If you don't have all your trials by level 85, you can join global 820, and people will always have like trials up in there and be like, hey, there's like the Blade Centuries trial up, 5 portals left, message me if you need it or whatever. So just get all your trials that way. It's usually pretty quick. It's hard to get into that channel at the beginning of the league though, and depending on how much you play, it might take you like a week or so to get in the lab. I usually no life it for like a week or two, where I'll just, the only thing I'll do is work and play PoE, just because I want to get YouTube stuff out for you guys, and just want to enjoy the new league mechanics, see if I like it, see if it's fun or whatever, get some achievements done and whatnot. But yeah, that's pretty much my beginner build starter guy and how I will do stuff. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and I will see you guys in Heist League. Gents, so I don't get one shot. So here we go. It definitely helps with the reflect though. I had a technically deathless attempt before, but I decided to dash into the reflect thing in the split phase and killed myself. So we'll see how this goes. Practice makes perfect, right? A little sloppy so far. Here, there, is that the fist? Yeah, perfect. Some good damage on him there. Hey, that went well.
I have nothing more to give.
Thinking about switching up my gloves for bossing though, but temp change is pretty good. They don't really offer too much. Like I figured maybe there would be something that could possibly give me more dips. Okay, that went really well. We got spear phase over there. Okay, that went well. I'm starting to get like more confident and a little bit more aggressive now with this node. I wasn't sure if I would originally like it because like mind over matter and my mana cost being so high on my skill. It seems to be doing okay. I just need to get used to it. No. We did it! Deathless. I only died on the trio because I was dumbass.